Welcome to Mental Junk Food, and this is CB Smallwood, and you're at the place where we talk about all things comics, sci-fi, pop culture, horror, fantasy, and everything in between, and whatever can fit into the middle of that. And today, we're going to be talking about Extreme Studios' Prophet. In particular, Prophet has got himself a movie deal. So let me give you some background information about Prophet before we actually talk about the movie deal. Prophet is a character that was created in the 90s, in Extreme Studios under the Image banner by Rob Liefeld. And for those that don't know, Rob Liefeld is the guy who came to fame at Marvel under the doing books like New Mutants and then later on X-Force. He left that and was a co-founder of Image, where he created Youngblood and a plethora of different characters in books, and then eventually went back to Marvel, did Captain America and yada 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 yada, on it goes. That Rob Liefeld is the creator of Prophet. Let me just say before going any further that I was always a fan of the run where Chuck Dixon, the writer, and Stephen Platt, the artist, were working on Prophet. I thought that was a pretty cool little run for as short-lived as it was. But anyway, let's talk about why you're actually here and watching this video, which is you want to learn about the details of the movie deal, which I have to say there isn't too much at this point because, they just announced it like 2 or 3 days ago. But let's see what we can find out. The Hollywood Reporter is one of the first ones that broke this story. It is a company called Studio 8 is the ones that are going to be bringing this to the big screen. Now, let me quote you from the Hollywood Reporter. I will leave a link to it down in the box down below, whatever that box is called. So let's go ahead and get into it. And I quote, "The studio, Studio 8, has acquired the rights to Prophet, property Deadpool creator Rob Liefeld first introduced back in 1992. In the comics, John Prophet could be described as the anti-Captain America. He's a DNA-enhanced super soldier from World War II era who awakens in our time after being put in cryogenic freeze for a future mission. Unfortunately, he was not supposed to wake until years down the road, making Prophet a fish out of water, spending his time in search of a mission that does not exist. Prophet comics continued to be published after a 2012 relaunch that saw the character flung into the far future, but Liefeld says the Studio 8 team is interested in beginning with its 90s era roots. And Liefeld goes on to say, it makes sense that it's a destination that we can arrive at if we are successful. Liefeld also notes it won't be a direct adaptation of any one story, just as none of the Deadpool movies reflect a specific comics plot line. Rob Liefeld goes on to say, we're taking the best of Prophet to create the best cinematic version of Prophet that we can. He's very pure in the motives to help out his family and ends up becoming something completely different. And that's what Liefeld had to say about that. Later on, Liefeld says that Prophet is one of the characters that fans have hounded him the most about when it comes to adaptations. He chose Studio 8 after having meetings over the past several years with parties interested in adaptations for film and TV. Nothing felt right until he heard Studio 8's take. In addition to Deadpool and Cable, other Liefeld creations that recently hit the big screen include Domino, who was introduced in this summer's Deadpool 2. His super team X-Force was teased in the movie and are poised for their own adventure film from director Drew Goddard, probably not pronouncing his last name right, in which is set to star Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool, and Josh Brolin of Cable. Now, Liefeld also inked a deal with Netflix in March for his Extreme Universe characters with the goal of streaming service to create its own shared universe. So that's pretty much the stick of it, unquote. Okay, done with that. But that's pretty much the idea of it. Really not too much to report on other than the fact that Studio 8 is doing a Prophet movie. Liefeld's excited. He feels that they're going to make a movie that's true to the character, I suppose. And I really like the fact that they're focusing on a 90s version of the character and not so much the more modern version. If you haven't seen the books that have come out in the millennium of Prophet, he looks a little bit more like a very savage looking Conan in futuristic armor, okay? And those books are fun and cool, and I don't mean to dismiss them in any way, but to me, Prophet is a 7 foot, 8 foot tall bodybuilder dude who has a big knife or a big sword and this big puffy thing helmet on his head or something like that. Heck, I don't know. but that to me is Prophet, right? And I'm glad that they're going to go with the 90s version, and because the 90s version essentially borrowed a lot of the cool concepts from the 80s, like Terminator and a couple other stuff too. So it'll be fun to see, the Rob Liefeld rehash of a lot of that stuff. And I don't say that in a disrespectful way, because all creators basically rehash things that they enjoyed as a child, and twist it into something different or new to, certain degree. And I tell you something else that's interesting. If you guys and gals remember, about a couple of months ago, give or take, it was announced that Netflix had reached a deal with Extreme Studios and Rob Liefeld to bring his creations over to their platform. And they're actually going to do a lot of, I guess, movies and series based off of his characters. Such characters in books as Brigade, Bloodstrike, Cybrid, Rejects, Blood Wolf, Kaboom, which is awesome. I feel like I'm one of the few people that's excited to see Extreme Studio stuff as part of the Netflix deal. I think that's going to be really cool and fun to see these things brought to life, and how true they stay to them, or how they deviate, how they improve them, or how they make them worse. So it's going to be pretty cool to see that for me personally. There's some names that are omitted from the Netflix deal, such as like Supreme and Glory. But in my opinion, there might be a reason why we don't see Supreme and Glory. It's probably because of the same reason you don't see Young Blood. Young Blood, last I checked, they were locked into some studio deal that was going on several months ago, a year or two ago. It's been a while. And there was actually a movie studio that was supposed to be making a Young Blood movie, but nothing else ever came of that. That just kind of just went out the window. It could be that this studio has acquired the rights to Youngblood, and they're just sitting on it, and they're waiting for the right time to introduce it, to work on it, or get a budget for it. I don't know. The same could be said probably for Glory and Supreme. Those would also make great movies, and that might be another reason why we don't see them as part of the Netflix deal. And but bringing it back home, if you want to learn more details about the Netflix deal between Extreme Studios, Rob Liefeld, and Netflix, I will at the end of this video, I'll leave like a link that you can click on to take you straight to that video where we go in more details about it. It's interesting. It seems like there's going to be more movies based on Rob Liefeld's properties that's going to hit the big screen. So we can tell by the Netflix deal by what they're not using, what properties of Rob Liefeld's they're not using, that will tell us a little bit more about what might actually hit the big screen on theaters later on, because it could be very possible that some of the big characters that are missing from the Netflix deal are missing for a reason, because other movie studios have acquired the rights to those, and they're just not been ironed out yet by Rob Liefeld and made public as of yet. And of the Netflix deal, the properties from Extreme Studios and Rob Liefeld that are not mentioned that Netflix could use, or should have used, would be properties such as Young Blood, Supreme, and Glory. Okay, I've never heard of these three books, these three comics, these three properties being mentioned as part of the Netflix deal, which tells me that potentially we could see these being made into movies by other studios. So we assume that somewhere floating out in the ethos of Hollywood, we're going to see those movies pop up, or announcements pop up sometime soon. I would assume. Okay, anyway. Now, getting back to Prophet, which is the main reason many of you clicked on this video, and I want to end this video on this note, okay? I put a little bit of thought on it, and the thing is, Prophet is a really cool character, a really cool concept, and he's visually a very imposing, explosive, dynamic, fun character. And that's something that I want to see, reflected on the big screen. To tell an awesome sci-fi tale that's done in a savage, Conan-like way, but from a 7-foot tall guy. And what I'd like to know is, who do they have in mind to play Prophet? Now, I know it's way, way, way too early to tell, because they're probably, still working on the script, trying to figure out who would direct it and all this other stuff. But I wonder if they've got kind of like a vague idea of who they want to play Prophet. I'm going to tell you right now who I would like to see play Prophet, okay? And then you can curse me for being stupid or whatever. But I want to see a new guy do Prophet. And I really don't care who that new guy is, because that's the idea. He's a new guy, a new face. Honestly, the action hero realm of Hollywood is kind of dried up. And I'm not talking about superhero movies either. Okay, there's plenty of action in superhero movies. I'm talking about classic action heroes like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee, Steven Seagal, Jean-Claude Van Damme. You know, a whole host of people. Now there are still, you know, some guys out there that are keeping the action hero Hollywood thing still alive, like Jason Statham being one of them. But we need a lot more, because I think there's definitely a void in Hollywood for that type of cinema. You know, the guy, I want a new guy. Don't really care who, but I went and done some research, and I found this guy. He's a 7-foot tall bodybuilder named Aaron Reed. Some of you might be saying, like, CB, that's dumb. Bodybuilders can't act. Well, you know, I think Arnold Schwarzenegger did well for himself. And pointing out something else, okay? Prophet does not strike me as a character that has a lot of dialogue. What Prophet does best is action. He cuts up stuff or he blows up stuff. That's essentially his top two things that he does. And he doesn't need a lot of words to do it, you know, other than screaming out something like, Kirby! So anyway, take a look at this guy named Aaron Reed. He's a 7-foot tall bodybuilder. You kind of get glimpses of, like, you know, this guy kind of looks the part. You know, he could either let his hair grow out, get hair extensions or something. Just, you know, picture the gear on his head and stuff. I think that would be cool. I think that would be interesting. I mean, I don't know nothing about this Aaron Reed guy. I basically Googled 7-foot tall bodybuilders, but this, yeah. Why couldn't this work? But anyway, that's my impromptu pick. Please let me know in the comments section down below. Are you excited for this new Prophet movie? Do you like the idea that they're going to focus on the 90s version of the character instead of the modern? Who would you like to see play Prophet? Do you agree with my choice or my idea of thinking about it? You want to see a new guy? Would you mind seeing the Aaron guy do it? Or do you want to see somebody else entirely different do it? Or are you excited about all these extreme studio properties hitting, you know, Netflix and on the big screen? Let me know in the comment section down below. Love to hear your thoughts and comments. More often than not, they're far more articulate and well thought out than anything that I have to say. So I appreciate reading them, and I think other people appreciate reading your comments as well. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to hit that like button, and please subscribe. I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers. I'm on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I'm trying to see if I can get there. So if you want to take pity on me, please hit that subscribe button. Anyway, this is CB Smallwood, and I will see you in the next video.